So this video is for my UK viewers and investors specifically. And today I want to break down and compare 3 of the most popular brokers in the UK these days, go through what are the differences and which broker I would be recommending. And of the 3 brokers we're going to be looking at, we're starting off with one of UK's giant, Hargreaves and Lansdown, followed by a flat fee alternative and very popular broker, Interactive Investors. And no, it's not Interactive Brokers, they are different. And lastly, we compare it to one of the low-cost challenger, XTB. Now, of course, there are many more great options for brokers and banks out there that could do similar things, but these are 3 very popular ones, and it would be exceeding the scope of this video if I compared all the various ones. If you want me to compare more in the future, let me know in the comments down below. Happy to do so, but for this video, I'm going to be focusing on those 3. But let's kick things off with a quick overview of the different brokers. Now, XTB originally comes actually out of Warsaw in Poland. However, they are also FCA regulated, so don't worry, you're going to be in safe hands with them. Then we have Hargreaves and Lansdown. Obviously, they have been around the longest, I think over 40 years or so, from the UK. And that's why so many people feel comfortable investing with them. It really becomes a legacy investing choice. I think a lot of parents started with them and then the kids are taking over from them. And lastly, we have Interactive, who are also originally from the UK. In terms of listing, both XTB and Hargreaves are actually publicly listed. XTB obviously in Poland and Hargreaves in the UK. Now, Interactive Investors are not publicly listed, but they're owned by a publicly listed company called Aberdeen Investments. Now, in terms of asset classes, they pretty much have all the same. One thing to note though, the 2 UK players over here, they do offer also gilts, which if that's important for you, then obviously those will be the preferred choice. Though personally, I'm not too excited about gilts, but if that's important for you, then, obviously XTB wouldn't be a choice. Other than that, they pretty much offer similar asset classes in terms of onboarding. They're all pretty swift, though I would say that XTB is probably the fastest. It's really straightforward, online, digital. And one big important differentiation between the 3, XTB currently does not offer SIPP accounts. So if that's important for you, then once again, XTB wouldn't be your best choice. But for everything else, they're pretty similar from the overall overview. Again, in terms of regulations, they're all FCA regulated and FSCS protected, which is of course important so you know your funds are safe up to £85,000. Let's talk about actual hard facts. And here the numbers speak for themselves. Now, in terms of trading commissions, that's obviously one of the elements when you want to choose your broker. Not the single most important, but one very important one. And here XTB is really in a class of its own because they do not charge any commission up to a monthly turnover of 100,000 euros. If you invest over that, there will be a small commission. But I think for most people, you'll probably be investing less than 100,000 euros in a month. So you should be good with 0 commissions, which is obviously really, really nice to see. While on the other hand, Interactive Investors charges you £4, while Hargreaves charges you £12. That's a crazy fee to have in the times we're in today, where you have so many brokers having commission-free trading. I think it's outrageous, actually, to be honest. However, their fees drop slightly if you do more, I think, than 10 or 20 trades. But even at 10 trades, that would be around £120 that you already paid in commission for a given month to them. So yeah, I think it's just really, really unfortunate that they charge that high. And again, that's often the case with those legacy providers, banks, stockbrokers. So that's something really to keep in mind. Now, obviously, as I said, it's not the only deciding factor, but this round definitely very clearly goes to XTB. Now, that brings me to another very important point that often people forget to look at. They only focus on commission, but actually you need to look at also exchange rates and FX fee. Because let's be honest, most of us want to invest globally. You're obviously going to be based in the UK if you're watching this video, and you might invest locally in the UK stock market, which is great, but you might also want to invest in the US stock market, right? After all, it is the biggest stock market in the world. I personally love to invest in US companies, and in doing so, I need to have US dollars. So if you have pounds that you send into your respective broker or bank, you obviously need to convert those into dollars. And here, those 2 UK players, they charge, I think, an arm and a leg. And it's absolutely atrocious, I think. You're going to be having 1% conversion fee with Hargreaves and 1.5% conversion fee with Interactive Investors. I mean, it's just crazy numbers. While on the other hand, XTB only charges you 0.5%. So a third of what Interactive Investors charges. And just keep in mind, when, for example, you invest in the S&P 500, traditionally, we expect a return of 8 to 9%. So if all your S&P 500 investments were US dollar based, right away, you'll be losing 1.5% out of your maybe 8 or 9% return, which is a huge part of it, right? So that really is a hidden cost, even more important than the commission when you think about it, right? Especially the more of your investments are based in a different currency. But that's not all. Actually, I was surprised to find out that those 2 players also charge you a platform and custody fee, which is really unfortunate in my opinion. Now with XTB, there's 0 custody fee or platform fee per month or per year. for an amount of less than 250,000 euros. Anything above that amount will incur a really small percentage of 0.02% on the total portfolio value. Now, on the flip side though, Hargreaves charges you 0.45%, massively higher, just for them to keep your funds with them, which I think is really, really crazy. Again, in this day and age we're in. Now, on the shares account, it is capped at £45 per year, so you can't go above that, but still. And then we have interactive investors who have subscription plans, so it depends on which subscription you go with, but the lowest one currently is around £5 per month. But that then increases the higher your portfolio balance is with them. It will go up to around £12 if your portfolio is bigger than £50,000. So again, that quickly starts adding up. And the big point of differentiation between the three is how much interest they're paying on uninvested cash, which I think is always very interesting and enticing. Now, obviously, those percentages do vary over time, right? So when you're watching this video, they might have changed. But currently, when we compare the three, once again, XTB is really in the lead. They're paying on pounds 4.25%, while Hargreaves only pays around 2.5%, and interactive investors around 2%. So yeah, that's another point. If you do plan to keep quite a bit of cash in your account, definitely with XTB, you're going to get the most bang for your buck, so to say. And the good thing is with XTB, you also don't have a minimum balance that you need to keep in your account, while some of the competitors, they actually require you to have a minimum amount of cash to be in the account before you start getting any interest on the money. So let's actually turn those numbers into a real world scenario of what it would mean for you as an investor if you were to go with either of the three. So let's say you have a portfolio value, let's increase it a little bit to, let's say, £100,000, which is sort of realistic for a lot of investors, right? Maybe you have more, maybe less, but I think that's a number that eventually all of us could get to with patience, consistent contributions, and of course, compound growth over time. Trades per month, again, depends on you. Some of you may only have 1 trade per month. Some of you 4 trades, like myself. I invest every single week. So let's keep it at 4 trades a month. And average uninvested cash, again, it depends on your position. A lot of you might have some spare cash. In my case, I like to keep around 10% of my funds in cash. So in this case, it will be around £10,000. And international trades that you do as a percentage. So of course, depends on how much you invest, locally versus abroad. I think a lot of you watching might be interested in buying also US listed stocks, not in pounds, but in USD. So let's say half of that, right? So let's say do 50%, half of it you'll be investing in pounds, half of it in USD, which is also good to kind of diversify your currencies. And as you can see, with XTB, you'll be actually in the plus. Despite the fees that you have from FX fee, you actually get more money in the form of interest from your uninvested cash, which is higher than the fees you see over here at 240. While with Hargreaves and interactive interest is significantly less, but the fees are incredibly higher compared to XTB. And that alone for me is a huge red flag. I mean, £1,000 in annual fees is just crazy to think about it, right? I want to have a low-cost broker in most cases. Again, depends on your scenario, but here for me is really black and white, as you can see. And the difference is staggering, over £1,100 difference, or around 1.1 immediate return that you could be having if in this case you choose to go with XTB over the other two. Now, in terms of apps and interfaces, being an XTB user myself, I can also really recommend it. I mean, you can see over here, I just started recently adding it to my mix of brokers. I use many different stock brokers just to diversify and obviously also test out different ones. And I've been really enjoying the experience. Super sleek, super easy to use. You can see my trades, where I'm in the plus. It's easy to add money. You get just enough information about the stock without being overwhelming. So yeah, you always feel informed to make a decision and then a buy. And it's just so seamless, so easy. I mostly use the app. You can also do the same though on the web, but yeah, I just think it's very easy to do on the phone. Now for the other two, I can't really speak from experience because I'm not based in the UK, so I can't actually open an account with them, unfortunately. With XTB you can, but you can see over here the app in the App Store. It does definitely feel a little bit more, old school, traditional in many ways. The same with Hargreaves. Again, nothing wrong with it. Very classic, very traditional. And yeah, if you like that, that's fine. But I think there are definitely better, sleeker applications out there these days. So in summary, XTB being the challenger here between the other two more established players. Again, their strengths are definitely the zero commissions we spoke about, up to 100,000 euros a month, which is great. The stocks and shares ISA, which is now available, which hasn't previously been, but now that it is, that's why I can really recommend it for UK investors. I think it makes it a great option. The low FX fees, we spoke about that before. It's significantly higher with the other players, and as well as auto investment plans, which are also available. Made another video about XTB in the past. You can check that out to find out how that works, but a really great feature as well. Keep in mind, limitation-wise, they don't have SIPP accounts right now, so that's something to keep in mind. No mutual funds, if that's important for you, even though personally I'm not a fan of those. and no lifetime ISA at this stage. For the legacy brokers out there, Hargreaves, of course, they're really established. If you want a big name that have been around for many, many years, then, that so be it, right? They have SIPPs, they have mutual funds, guilds, as I mentioned before. So that could be something to keep in mind. But that also comes at the price of high fees. And the fees in my eyes are really exorbitant. And moving to the active investors, if you have large portfolios, that fixed fee is more attractive than you would have with Hargreaves. But again, the overall high fees in my eyes, especially FX fee of 1.5%, is absolutely crazy in this day and age. So as you can see, really objectively speaking, XTB definitely takes the win here. Purely looking at the numbers, your money will work the hardest and go the furthest with XTB compared to the other two players out there. And as I said, there are many other great options out there as well, but between the three of them, I think XTB definitely takes the crown. And if you want to try out XTB for yourself, then either click the link down in the description below or scan the QR code on the screen. And when you do sign up, use the code SMART. And once you open your account, you'll receive a full Rolls-Royce share. But keep in mind, those promotions are subject to limited availability. But the good thing is, XTB keeps on coming up with new offers, and I'll be sure to have the latest one in the description whenever you use my link. Well, there you have it, friends. I hope you found this video insightful. And for me personally, I was really quite shocked when I saw some of those fees. I didn't think that brokers would still get away charging such a fortune in fees. So hopefully with this video, you'll be able to now save quite a bit of money in terms of fees. But if you still have any questions about the things I spoke about in today's video, pop them in the comments down below. Happy to hear from you. Next up, check out this video over here where I give you a deeper insight into the XTB platform and how I actually use it to buy and sell my shares. Thanks for watching. As always, stay healthy, get wealthy, and see you in the next one. Ciao.